now status of droughts in India. We have covered a holistic picture over the world. Now recently this map is given in NCERT, but it will be in a black and white format. I have just given it color, so you can easily, as the the texture or the color of the region goes towards the dark orange or brown, it means that the drought, it is more drought prone. So here it is not green. This region I have just marked, this whole region, Rajasthan and northern Gujarat, this is highly prone to drought. This region is Marusthali, the desert region of the Thar desert. This Bundelkhand part, this is also drought prone. Why this is important? Because the Kane Betwa link, which was much in news. So it was the major purpose of that river linking was to provide irrigation facilities and reduce the impact of drought. Then we have Mirzapur in UP, then Palamau. In Palamau we have Purulia in West Bengal, Kalahandi, Odisha. Here we know Kutch desert area, the salt desert. Then we have Saurashtra Peninsula, it is also prone to drought. Marathwada is very notorious for droughts. We have Coimbatore, Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. So all these regions, rest you can see by this region, they are highly prone to droughts. This Sri Lanka, don't make it part of India. Then as we go, especially this, if you see this region is also devoid of the rainfall. So here if we consider the Western Ghats in this region on the western coast, so during monsoon season the leeward side is also prone to drought. Again, rainfall, these maps can also be found in NCERT. Again, the Aravalli range, they are very low in height, which forbid the formation, the causation of the orographic rainfall. So here rainfall is less. So different factors, they come into picture, which has severely affect the intensity of drought. Okay, so some more, we have already discussed this. Around 68% of India is prone to drought in varying degrees as per the official classification. So see, this is in the percentage, this is in terms of the amount of rainfall. So when the amount of rainfall at a particular region is from 750 mm to 1125 mm, then the official categorization is drought prone. This is 32 to 67, that is 35% of the area of India is drought prone. And then clinically drought prone, if you subtract, this is 33% of the area which is getting less than 750 mm, and rest of the 32% of the area is neutral. So 100 minus 32, 68% is prone to drought. Some are drought prone and some are chronically drought prone. And here we have the classification of meteorological drought based on rainfall deficiency. We discussed in the initial slides. So this is given by Ministry of Jal Shakti. So when we have the rainfall deficiency, that is deviation, the negative deviation of the rainfall. If 100% means there is severe deficiency of rainfall, and 0%, that is the average rainfall which is occurring at a region, it has occurring this time in this season also. So there is very less possibility of drought. So if the rainfall deficiency is from 0 to 25%, it is normal condition, then 25 to 50% moderate, and then 50% to 100%. This is not the percentage of rainfall but percentage of rainfall deficiency. Then last year only 10% of these areas were facing similar situation in the same period. This year, inadequate rainfall in July and August, nearly 30% of the area is facing this drought condition. So these are just some facts, interesting facts. Then one important concept is why drought looms over UP, Bihar and Jharkhand. Initially, in some of the initial slides, we had discussed that due to various factors, the rice cropping in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand and even West Bengal, they are getting severely affected. So they have talked basically about the monsoon trough. If you can read the text here. So what happens is, we had talked in brief about the ITCZ, that is the Intertropical Convergence Zone. So in that, what was how it is affecting it. So normally So if I just draw a brief map. Okay, so average. So normally what happens is the ITCZ, it forms a monsoon trough, which is an area of low pressure. So there it attracts the southwest monsoon, and there the rainfall takes place. So normally when the monsoon trough is like this, low pressure region is in this this is the normal position. So here the rainfall takes place, the normal position of the rainfall, it takes place throughout the country. Sometimes what happens is it moves towards the south, towards the peninsular region. So right now that is the case, where the scenario what is happening. That is why the regions here, the regions such as UP, Bihar and Jharkhand, they are facing the drought because of the southward movement of the monsoon trough, and this has led to a lot of rainfall in the peninsular region also. Bengaluru is already drowned, has already drowned several times, although the mismanagement of the drainage system, the lakes, is also a major factor, but this is also a factor why a lot of rainfall is taking place over the peninsular India. So moving ahead, so again, water crisis in India, we know that majority of the water resources which are used all over the world, it is around 70%. In India, 85 to 90% of the water is used for irrigation. So that leads to more crisis. Then we have the subsidized electricity. So the farmers pump groundwater at will. The lack of education, although schemes like drip irrigation are emphasized, till the farmers don't make use of this. And some states, there is the irregular use of land, that is the exploitation of water resources and growing of crops when the situation or the soil moisture is not sufficient. For example, the sugarcane is a important crop in Maharashtra, but it is very water intensive. So only 4% it takes up. Sugar belt takes only 4% of the sown area of my farmland, but it consumes over 70%. And moreover, what the fear is recently, since we are switching over to the biofuels and their sugarcane production is also emphasized upon, it is said to increase. So that is also aggravated fears that more drought-like conditions can occur. So these things need to be kept in mind by the community and the government to avoid such situations. Then of course, when we come to water resources, up to 80% of all surface water in India is polluted. We don't have proper sewage facilities, soaring temperatures, also groundwater exploitation. So all these causing water borne diseases have also increased in recent times, like cholera. So all these have caused a water crisis in India, not just the drought. Then again, till now we have discussed what is drought, what are the causes of drought, and how the drought is affecting not only India but all the world. And then we have the impact. So this you can see in the structure, in the proper structure in which we are going. So of course, employment as around 50% of India's workforce, and again it will impact the food security and of course all the livelihoods, malnutrition and all that. Then here we have the food security, the agriculture industry, the food processing industries. They are the water intensive crops like rice and even cereals. The wheat crop is also involved in intensive cultivation, so that is also take a lot of quantity of water. Then of course we have health, we have discussed the pollution of water, and when the water resources, the water supply is less, even few contaminants, they are magnified. Then we have unrest, like we are not fortunately not till now in India, but various countries, where African sub-Saharan countries, in England, in London, you might have seen people queuing up in front of water tankers or water resources carrying their water containers or filling up their buckets, which is an unprecedented scenario if you ask me. So then coming, so I'm not proceeding in a haste, but basically we have covered the major portion. So the way forward is again conserving groundwater, building check dams, sustainable agriculture like drip irrigation we have. Then we have awareness, long term investment, this awareness campaigns around the farmers, how to involve themselves in the modern or sustainable techniques like integrated watershed management system, drip irrigation. Then make use of soil health cards. Then you can make derive various points through various schemes which the government is recently promoting. Then we have the alternate policies. Examples can be taken from Israel's water management policy. You don't need to study in detail this can be just used as a fodder point. Then we have the national river linking project, which are the Par Narmada, the Manganga project, the Godavari Krishna river linking, the Ken Betwa linking we have discussed. So all these are will be very essential for the avoiding or mitigating the drought. So some case studies, international case studies, sometimes they become very important, not only from the point of view of India. I am talking about the entire planet, the entire world. So here's farmers in Niger. They have increased they have used agroforestry systems, and they have increased the vegetation cover, and sustainable agriculture is being followed. Agroforestry, it's an environmental concept. If I talk in brief, agroforestry is basically a land management practice which brings about several components together, that is tree crops, the agriculture crops, livestock. So all these they grow in the harmonious way, taking due regard of the nature, and even the cultural practices, the local practices of the farmers are paid due heed in this agroforestry. Then drip irrigation we have already talked about, but I found online an example. They have they provide significant benefits to countries like Vietnam, Cambodia and Indonesia. Water use efficiency has increased by up to 43% and yield by 8 to 15%. So you can sometimes quote this in essay or in optional geography optional. It becomes very important, this case studies. So this was the prelims question which came in 2022. So which of the following lakes of West Africa has become dry and turned into a desert? So 4. Again, from the mapping point of view, these becomes very important. The answer here is Lake Faguibin, which we have discussed. It is in the country of Mali in Africa. And other Lake Victoria, Lake Oguta, Lake Volta. These are important from the point of view of prelims. Then a sample question which you can attempt, that is, a large part of India is prone to drought in varying degrees. Highlight the factors responsible for drought in India and suggest measures. So you can easily, the structure. We have some good introduction. In introduction you can write basic that 68% of area has become prone to drought, and you can also another general stat. Don't try not to write a general introduction, or you can write about the UNCCD report 2022 that India has entered in the drought risk assessment report. It is severely prone to drought, some other facts which we have already discussed. Then straight away you can highlight the factors. So you can divide this this body part, this is the body, into two categories. That is, one is the natural factors you can write about, and one is the anthropogenic. It's also about the presentation, not just the data. So natural factors, we can talk about the erratic rainfall, the widespread lack of moisture is there. So this in general you can elaborate upon the moisture, the agricultural drought, and the agricultural variability which exists along the span, the length or breadth of the country. Anthropogenic, we have discussed a lot of points like groundwater exploitation, improper land use, and agriculture, faulty agricultural practices, sustainable agriculture or water intensive cropping. So these few points you can write. And finally the in the conclusion part, sorry, you have to also write suggest measures. So measures, you can, a lot of points we can, the way forward, you can write about the drip irrigation, you can write about the integrated watershed management, then you can write about the agroforestry, you can write about the population the awareness or in the population, then the government policies which have to be dealt with, then improving the drought prediction methods. So all these points if you come across, you can also write. And finally in the conclusion, that you can write somewhat like this, that because drought is not going anywhere, and with the increasing influence not only of nature but the human factor involved as well, it is set to increase. So we need to devise measures not only to mitigate the droughts but also how to adapt to it for a sustainable development. So this creative, some inspirational conclusion you can end with. And here you can diagram here is not really necessary. If you have time, you can draw something. So at the end, we in the initial part we had discussed that humanity is at a crossroads. So what is to be done without it? First of all, we need to change our relationship with the land. We need to, when we are growing fodder and food crops, we need to be more careful about it. We should try consuming more livestock. Often the consumption of meat it comes into news, which is responsible for a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. And the important thing is that whatever tools are available to us for the sustainable land management and all the entire ecosystem as a whole, that should be used urgently, and we should expedite their use. And these means to slow down the effects of drought, we have to accelerate the use of these means so we can mitigate and adapt to the droughts. So we should not, this is a quote of Benjamin Franklin, so we should devise some measures, or we should take firm strides, proactive measures, involve all the stakeholders, so that we don't allow our wells to go dry. And more importantly, through this topic, through these discussions, I hope enlightening in nature. So these discussions also, your well of knowledge should never go dry. So till we meet till next time, so Jai Hind.